If you want to build anti-fragile confidence, if you want to have emotional stamina, if you want to have agency over your life, you actually have to do it. This is a practice. These are things that need to be done over and over and over and over again. And let me tell you what happens when you do these things. Your confidence goes sky high, through the roof. Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Brian. This is episode 193 of the Success Lift podcast. Welcome back. Thanks for being back with me. This is episode number 2 that's going to appear in full length in its entirety on YouTube. So if this is the first time you're finding me, watching me, seeing what I look like up close and personal, I'm 6'6", by the way. I know I'm sitting down right now, so you can't really tell. Don't have a whole lot of hair. But if this is your first or second time ever seeing the show on YouTube, I would encourage you to go over to Apple Podcasts or to Spotify and check us out. We've got 192 other episodes, audio only, but you'll get a great flavor for what we've been doing, what I've been talking about over the last 3+ years, over the last 190 episodes. And I think you'll enjoy it, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. But if you're going to stay on YouTube, if you're going to just stick to the video version, that's cool. That's cool. I respect that. I've definitely been watching more YouTube over the last week or so, since I've been spending more time, checking out the show, seeing how it's doing, seeing if people are subscribing. Thank you for those who have. We've picked up a few subscribers. Listen, I'll be very transparent. I've had zero YouTube game, with the exception of posting some meal prep videos with my daughter and doing some workplace wellness tips of the day for corporate America, things like that. And so I'm literally starting from the ground. I'm starting from the basement, not even ground zero, not even the first floor. And so I totally understand. And this will be fun. This will be fun to document another journey in my progression of doing what I'm doing. And this is just like any other journey. When you start out, you're going to feel like other people are way ahead of you, because they are, because they've been doing it longer, because they're more experienced. And it'll be really cool for me to see my progression, how fast I come up the curve. And so I would ask for your help. If you are somebody who've supported me in the audio version, if you pay attention to my daily emails, if you pay attention to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, if you want to check me out on either one of those platforms, I'm very active. Again, if you want to get a daily message from me, you can go to thesuccesslift.com and just click on the little red button that's in the middle of the page to join my email list. You'll get a short but impactful message from me on a daily basis, usually at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that hopefully will educate you, inspire you, maybe give you a little bit of humor depending on the flavor of the day, and keep you engaged and pushing to close the gap between who you are right now and who you ultimately want to become. And that's what we all should be chasing after every single day. And I know I am, and the people that I work with are as well. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about this week. I want to talk about, some ways for you to close that gap, because a lot of people that I work with, a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of people that I associate myself with from a professional and personal standpoint ultimately desire that. We all care about that. If you got most people that I spend time with in a room, they would say, of course I want to get better. They would say, I definitely am not at my fullest potential. But then oftentimes we find ourselves in this space of not exactly knowing why it is that we're not achieving our potential, why we are holding ourselves back, or what is holding us back that is outside of our control. And that's where I've started to understand a lot more recently, but have known via working with people and working on myself over the last 5 to 8 years or so. Started on myself 9 years ago, ultimately started with me working with other people 5+ years ago, where it's become a trend. And anytime you see it over and over and over again, it's usually fairly applicable to almost everyone in the sense of like, we all want to get better. We all want to close that gap. At least most of us do. If you're paying attention to me on a regular basis, you have a desire to, because otherwise you would have tuned out long ago. A lot of us just don't know what's holding us back. And I want to talk today about, ultimately, the concept I want to talk about today is agency, okay? But I'm going to explain it, and I'm going to refer to it in a couple of other different ways, in terms of building confidence and in terms of being able to stay in control of the things that you are in control of. And the problem that I see constantly is that people allow outside forces, outside circumstances, actions and events that are not within their control to ultimately affect the things that they do have control over. And that is a tragedy, because ultimately that is how we develop that confidence that we need to close the gap between where we are today and who it is that we want to become. And so as I dig into this a little bit, and this won't be a super deep dive, this will be another 15 minutes or so, I think. What I want to talk first about is, what is agency, right? Let's define it quickly. The Google machine says that agency is a sense of control that you feel in your life, your capacity to influence your own thoughts and behavior, and have faith in your ability to handle a wide range of tasks and situations. Pretty fancy definition for a short word, right? You have faith in your ability to handle a wide range of tasks and situations. That faith part for me is key, even as I start to think about it right now, because look, here's the thing. I tell clients this all the time. You must develop, through repetition, confidence that you are who you say that you are. And this is where, and we'll dive deeper into this right now, but this is where there's a disconnect with people. This is where people don't fully understand that they are waiting for this moment to develop greater abilities to have agency. When in fact, in my experience, agency is a practice. Agency is a practice that you must do over and over and over again. And so that is what I want to talk a little bit about today, is this concept. It's been phrased to me in a few different ways, but they're all ultimately the same, as several of my clients have told me in the past. We're all saying the same thing. We just say it in a slightly different way. And man, is that true. And that's okay, because words that I speak may resonate with you because of my background, because we're a lot alike, because you were a corporate professional, because you were a financial professional, because we might have sat next to each other, because I know you from high school, because I'm from New Jersey, because I'm whatever. I don't know, right? Or you may resonate with someone else, and we're kind of saying the same thing, and that is okay, because as long as you get up off your butt and do the things, everybody wins. We win as coaches, you win as an individual. And so these terms, the first one is called emotional stamina, okay? That was coined, I believe, by Phil Stutz, who is a therapist. I'm going to probably screw up his title. He is a therapist to the stars, for lack of a better phrase. He's a very he's a very popular therapist. I believe he's in the LA area. He has worked with many different Hollywood types of people. And I only know that because Jonah Hill did a documentary called Stutz. It's available on Netflix. I would highly recommend it. It is a great documentary. Why? Because it lets you into his practical tools of how to change your state, how to take action. The one big beef that I've always had with therapy for me, is that a lot of it is very hypothetical and theoretical and 30,000 foot view. And they're just like sort of nodding and asking me how that makes me feel. Like, I'm grinding my teeth, therapist. Of course, what the hell do you think? How the hell do you think it makes me feel right now? Don't you see me physically agitated? And so I've always had an issue with therapy, again, for myself. Now, I think therapy is an incredible thing for a lot of people. It's just always been difficult for me, at least with the people that I have found. But Phil Stutz talks about giving people practical tools to be able to implement in the moment. That's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of using things like tools like the breath in the moment when you are frustrated, because you can't just pause the middle of the workday necessarily and tell everyone around you when the shit is flying everywhere that you need to go meditate. And so, when your kids are absolutely destroying the house, you can't ask them all to just quiet down for one moment and because daddy or mommy wants to meditate. You want to shake the shit out of one of them. You want to throw things across the room. You want to scream, you want to curse, you want to kick, you want to do whatever. And so using a practical tool like the breath is something that you can access in the moment. I like tools that I can access in the moment. That's what works for me. That's what works for a lot of my clients. Whether or not it works for you, I'm not telling you that you should subscribe to that as well. I'm just giving you my personal experience and my perspective. And so where was I going with all this? Phil Stutz and emotional stamina. Why I like him is because he has a lot of these practical tools. The documentary takes you through that. What is emotional stamina? Well, emotional stamina is when everything else around you, think about a storm, right? We just talked about, a shitstorm. Think about the perfect shitstorm. It might have been earlier today at work. It might have been last week. Hopefully it wasn't earlier today because you're listening to this as soon as it drops early Monday morning and you didn't work yet. Maybe it's tomorrow, but we all know it's coming. The storm's coming again. I don't know why people say things like, life's just crazy right now. There's so many curveballs being thrown at me. Like, is there ever not, why do we call it a curveball? Can we just call it a fastball? Can we just call it a softball? Like, when is it ever not going to be that way? When are we ever going to have things perfectly aligned outside of like a vacation week, outside of, 2 weeks in August, outside of maybe the last week of the year, which probably is chaos because of your personal life and social calendars and the holidays. Like, when is life not going to be crazy? And so what are you waiting for life to be all in line? When do you think it's actually going to get better? So this is a little bit of a side tangent, but like, what the hell are you waiting for to take control of areas of your life? Like, until things are perfect? Are you nuts? Come on. Pay attention to me long enough. Hopefully I'll drill that into your head. But when things are crazy around us, AKA always, we must practice emotional stamina. It's also been defined to me in a term called anti-fragile confidence. And it's the same thing by actually a student of Phil Stutz and a mentor from afar of mine. He's actually a mentor of some of my coaches and friends. His name is Brian Johnson. He just wrote an incredible book called Arete. You can see I'm holding up for everybody on video. The book is great. I love the book, number one, because of the content. I'm also not a huge reader, meaning I usually read at night. I'm usually very tired. I get up very early in the morning. And when I sit down to read a few pages at 8:30 when I get into bed, I'm drooling on myself by 8:34. And so I usually don't make a lot of progress on a book. And then life gets in the way and gets crazy. And I probably, again, if you're on video, you see a bookshelf behind me. It is a real bookshelf. There are books back here. This is a good one right here. Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Got a third of the way through that one. Books are hard for me to read. And so why I like this book is he calls them micro chapters. Like, it's like each chapter is a page and a half, 2 pages at most. I can get down with that. I can get down with a 2-page chapter book. And they're all just lessons, quick bursts, quick hitters. And I love that. I love that concept. Okay. So, he calls it anti-fragile confidence. Okay. And it's the same thing. All right. Emotional stamina, anti-fragile confidence, the same thing. And I'll read you his definition of the two. Okay. When you're having a rough day, effectively, this is when you're having a rough day. Poop is hitting the fan everywhere. It's my own show. Shit's hitting the fan. All right. On those days when you feel the worst, you need to be the most committed to executing your protocols and dominating your fundamentals. Okay. He then goes on to say, I repeat, on those days when you feel the worst, you need to be the most committed to executing your protocols and dominating your fundamentals. What does that mean? All right? I think you kind of have an idea what that means. But it's the irony for me of people that I talk to over and over and over again. Typically, remember, I talk to people, my regular clients, I talk to them when everything's going great because we have a working relationship. We connect often. Typically, things are going well for them because they're progressing inside of a structured program with accountability and an expert, right? But when I initially talk to people, it's usually not going great. No one says, Brian, can I have 20 minutes of your time? Things are going so well that I want to talk to you about it. Very rarely does that happen. I get a shit ton of, hey man, I'm really struggling. Could I chat with you, for a few? Could we connect for a few? And I don't know what the percentage is, but it's so high, it's crazy. The things that are disrupting their lives are typically outside of their control. Now I'm talking about way up at the top, chunking all the way up. What is the first thing that triggers the issue? Usually that thing is outside of the control of the individual. Let's give you a real world scenario that I'm sure has happened to you very recently and happens to all of us. Something in your workday absolutely goes upside down. That thing was completely unexpected and totally outside of your control. Not your fault, not even sometimes a whole lot that you can do about it. Or even worse, dropped at your doorstep to fix. Okay? Got it? Everyone getting frustrated just thinking about that situation? I totally get it. We take that chaos, we take that frustration, we take that anger, we take that anxiety, we take that whatever. We internalize it, we take it home with us. We walk in the door, we're stressed out. We maybe take it out on our families, our kids and our spouse. We maybe decide to have some wine that night. Go get a drink after work with somebody to talk about it, and we skip the gym. And so maybe we do one of those two things, right? But maybe unexpected alcohol comes into our lives. Or maybe we stress eat. Or maybe we get into the pantry at work and we start to eat some of the crap that's there. We come home and we don't do the things that we're supposed to do. Instead of eating the salmon or the grilled chicken, we order Chinese food. Maybe we stay up watching an extra show or two of Netflix. We don't go to bed on time. We stay on our phones too late. We might be dealing with it later into the night. We don't sleep well because we're stressed out about it. And we stayed on screens for too long and we got out of our routine. If our plan was to go to the gym in the morning, we might miss it because we're tired and we hit the snooze button a few times. And so that scenario or some version of it that I just described to you is a very real situation that many people that I talk to deal with on a pretty regular basis. Something along those lines. Insert kids thing, insert crazy weekend, insert whatever. All of these things come in and disrupt our routines. All of them do. And what happens with us as individuals, as human beings, the irony of all this is that we can't control what went wrong. We can control everything that we react to. Okay? You can control what you put in your mouth. You can control whether you exercise or not. You can control what time you go to bed. You can control hitting the snooze button or not. You can control getting up and getting your workout in. And again, the very sad part about all of this is that those actions are temporary sedation mechanisms that help us for brief moments, seconds, minutes, maybe at best a couple hours, depending on how many glasses of wine you drink. And so we choose to sedate in the moment. We choose to take the easy, in air quotes, because it's not ultimately easy, it's the hard way. So you have to start to understand it's actually harder in the long term to do those things. If we stop doing those things, we will get results that we actually desire, and then we will have a connection between our actions and our results. And that is the gap. The gap is in doing what you say you're going to do, doing the actions that are in direct alignment with the results that you say that you want. And that's where people, in my experience, get it all wrong, because they still want to be healthy. They still want to connect more with their wife. They still want to drink less. They still want to exercise more, but they ultimately give their power away to a circumstance or an event that had absolutely nothing to do with them. And isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame when you say it that way, right? When you think about it that way, when you articulate it that way. Now, trust me, I am speaking from a third party. I'm speaking from a very objective source, a non-emotional source, from a place where it's not currently happening to me. I make the same mistakes that you do. I have the same emotional responses that you do. How have I, over time, started to reduce those emotional responses? Well, it takes repetition, just like everything else. If you want to build anti-fragile confidence, if you want to have emotional stamina, if you want to have agency over your life, you actually have to do it. This is a practice, as I said before. These are things that need to be done over and over and over and over again. And let me tell you what happens when you do these things. Your confidence goes sky high, through the roof. It is a very silly thing to think about when you actually lay out the simplicity of it. Brian, are you telling me that all I need to do are the things that I said that I was going to do and my confidence will go up? Yes, I am telling you that's the truth. When you are a more confident person, you are less likely to self-sabotage. Anyone ever self-sabotage before? Okay. Confident people don't intentionally sabotage themselves. Why would I ever do that? Why would I ever allow something that I was not in control of to throw me off track? What a tragedy that is. Why wouldn't I just stick to my protocols? Why wouldn't I further dig my heels in and entrench myself in this game that we can play? And I say that because it actually can be a game, because I've started to play it. When you have this ability to be able to step back in the moment and look back and go, or look ahead, look around, look down, if you sort of step outside yourself, right? This concept of like meditation I like is like being able, or mindfulness, I guess it's not really meditation. This concept of mindfulness that I do like, and I do attempt to practice as much as I can, is being able to separate yourself from the event and taking maybe a quick step outside of your body and hovering up over top and just evaluating and observe the thoughts, observe the actions. When you can do that and then almost have this like shit-eating grin, this little chuckle, this little smile, oh, this is fucked up, man. This is really effed up. How ridiculous is this situation right now? With a smirk and a smile and a little bit of humor, can you believe all this bullshit? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to absolutely dominate despite of. I'm going to absolutely dominate no matter what. You think this is going to get me? What are you, nuts? You think I would allow this to throw me off? And that's where, like, you know, when you start to get that, when you develop that muscle that you flex, you have to build the muscle in order to flex it. You're a skinny ass bee when it comes to confidence. You can't flex your muscle. But when you work, break it down in the gym, get after it in the gym, in the confidence gym, in the take action gym, in the do what I say that I'm going to do when I'm going to do it gym, you get some big ass muscles, baby. You get jacked. And what do you want to do when you're jacked? You want to show people how jacked you are. And so what do you continue to do when shit hits the fan? You flex your muscles. Not today. Not ever, but definitely not today. Definitely not today. And it becomes this fun game. Trust me, I'm smiling a little bit because I'm living it. I've lived it on a regular basis. I will not allow some weak ass BS to come into my life and to throw me off of my protocols. Will I feel a certain way? Absolutely. I'm not telling you that you need to change how you feel about it. Remember, our feelings do not dictate our actions. We can act our way into ultimately feeling differently, but trust me, this is not this airy-fairy feel-good thing of like, don't worry, you're going to feel great. Sometimes you're not going to feel great. 100%. Sometimes you're not going to feel great. Do it anyway. Sometimes you're not going to want to do it. Do it anyway. Sometimes you're going to want to feel like doing something else. Do it anyway. That will provide and develop and flex your agency muscle, your stamina muscle, your confidence muscle, where you will be absolutely jacked when it comes to that. I just flexed for everyone on audio. Come check me out on video. Come on, man. I'll start cutting the sleeves off my t-shirts if you want. When you do what you say you're going to do, when you're going to do it, it develops confidence. You understand that you have agency over yourself. You understand that nobody can throw you off except you. It doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It just means that you are in control of you. And that is a very empowering feeling, because you will only allow yourself to be thrown off, nothing else. And let me tell you something about the times that you do get thrown off. When they are intentional, they are way more fun. You have a level of appreciation for them that you cannot describe. I just went away to play some golf and had an absolute blast. I think my first cocktail a few days was 9 a.m. I was like, bring it on. Bring it on. I'm ready. When you are consciously choosing to make these choices, when you live a life of 90, 95, 99, whatever the percentage is of agency, those moments that you choose, again, agency, choose to enjoy yourself, choose to get off track, they're so much more fun. They're so much more fun. There's zero regret, zero guilt, zero shame. I'm telling you, it makes it a whole lot more fun. And so remember, it is a sense of control that you feel in your life. It is your capacity to influence your own thoughts and behaviors. You are going to feel the things, you are going to think the thoughts, you're going to want to behave the way that you always have. You must have faith in your ability to handle the tasks and the situations. When you learn to do that, you will change your story. You will change your belief system around this. Change your story, change your life. It is an incredible superpower to have. And it's only developed, as far as I know, through repetition, like most things. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please share it with someone. Tell somebody about it. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a review. Leave a 5-star rating. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next week.